Liverpool too have started the season very inconsistent. Pretty much conceding goals for all their games. The players don't particularly seem like they have the same mindset that they had 2 or 3 seasons ago. So the question here is this: are we going to throw the blame solely on Klopp? Is it a situation that Klopp, you're the manager, you're supposed to make the players rally the players and get them back to where you think they should be, or is this just a thing that is player accountability, as the words that you guys know I like to use? Dunk.
Oh, I thought Neil wanted to take this one. Go on, I'll let Neil speak first. He's itching at the bit. Go on, Neil.
The skin's going to fall off. Before anyone thinks I'm getting on the Graham Souness bandwagon, we were saying this long before. Had he been off TV for a few weeks?
He was on yesterday.
He was back on. That's what I'm saying. And he was saying, and he was slating the midfield for Liverpool, which obviously he's been watching the show and he understands that what we've been saying, that midfield is tired and old and needs replacing. So player accountability, I'm going to give zero accountability to the players and maximum accountability to Klopp for not looking where he should be strengthening the team and should have the know-how. Trent hasn't defended since he was born, right? So we can't suddenly blame Trent and the lack of it. Gomez hasn't been a great defender. He had a couple of good games, and that was it. Never been a great defender.
Sorry, when you say good games, are you talking about this season or from when he became...
This season, when Gomez had, I think he had one good game.
Yeah, but you're not going to judge him on just this season.
No, I'm saying he had one good game this season, but he's been poor. Gomez has been poor for ages, and they've struggled to replace the centre of the park. Mane going, I mean, all right, he was a workhorse for them and a top quality player, but they let him go, rightly or wrongly. But that isn't conceding goals by letting that forward go. Yes, he may come back and help out of it, but he is not the be and all and end all of that team. The three in the centre of the park have been woeful this season and not protected anybody and left everybody exposed beyond all realms of belief. And Trent has been looked at as the scapegoat. And when they dropped him and Milner had a good game and suddenly Liverpool are back and, they're title contenders or whatever. The simple matter of fact is they've papered over cracks and the win hasn't helped them. They need to reevaluate how that maybe their system has to change because they can't buy any players until January anyway. So they need to accommodate who they have got and how does that actually work? Do they go 5 in midfield and 1 up top in order to shore up the midfield rather than going 4-3-3? What they need to do in order to change how they play football. It's fine having the mentality if this is how we play football, when you're winning. But you can't just have that. As a Bielsa fan over there will quite clearly say you cannot continue to do the same thing every game and the same tactics and expect something different or it just to work. It's easy to get absolutely excited about playing your local rivals or your arch nemesis. It's fine. That's easy to do. But it's the mundane, slightly boring games that you're not up for, then you think that you've already won because you're better than the other team. And hands down on paper, Liverpool usually look better, but they are exposed. And Klopp, I said it before, tactically inept. Literally. Changed it for 2 games. Spanked Rangers, won again after, and then that was it. And then suddenly you've lost against Forest. Forest couldn't get a win with the 350 new players that they signed. Literally, it was a shambles.
Is there a connection between Sheffield and Liverpool,
No.
Dunk? Because this guy is going on and on, attacking
Sheffield.
Klopp.
They just hate everyone. Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds.
All right, I just wanted to know. So, according to that beautiful rant from Mr. Hinder, he's saying
factual information, I believe.
Okay, he's saying factual. Well, you did say Gomez has been terrible for ages. The man was injured, has come back, has had a few games, had a few good games and a few bad games. Liverpool have loads of injuries. I still believe, correct me here, Dunk, the Liverpool midfield is probably still better than a good number of teams in the Premier League. So do you think Mr. Hinder has a point when he says that they're trying to do the same thing and it's not working and Klopp isn't changing it? because when you watch the Liverpool games, for example, the game against Leeds, loads of saves from the Leeds goalkeeper, loads. And it's one of those things, if one had gone in, the floodgates would have opened and all that good story. They have seemed to struggle with using a point man with David Nunes up front. So is it just a change of personnel? Because Mr. Hinders said, the midfield is old, it needs to be changed. Is it just a change of personnel that it needs? Or do you agree that there's no player accountability with this situation with Liverpool?
Well, I agree a bit with Neil, that Klopp has to take most of the responsibility. If you look at the lineup against Leeds, that's pretty much very similar lineup to what they would have had last season. You just had Harvey Elliott in the midfield and you had Nunes up top. 80 million Nunes striker. So that's not really weakening much when you put Nunes in. Elliott is developing, so include him in the starting lineup, and he's actually been one of their better performers. But he's on the same side as Trent, so maybe he's not putting in the defensive work to cover Trent, like Neil said. But other than those two, that lineup there was very similar to what they would have.
Didn't you say Liverpool was going to win the league? If I remember correctly, didn't you say Liverpool was going to win the league? If I remember correctly,
me.
I'm asking. I can't remember.
No, you can't remember correctly.
I think it was
definitely Man City for me. Maybe it was one of the other lads.
So so on the Liverpool website on the 28th of October, they posted a list of their injuries, current injuries. Thiago, all right, but he's back for Leeds. All right, Luis Diaz out, Jota out, Konate out, Matip out, and Melo out. That's it. I mean, I hate to say that they've got 5 injuries, 25-man squad, and you look at that and you go, all right, they've got Thiago out. He's the only centre mid player, Melo, who came in and barely played. So there's one player in that centre of the park that's out. Chamberlain's fit. So
I keep forgetting that guy is actually at Liverpool.
Do you know what I mean? They've got a big enough squad, and if they can't facilitate buying players in and just wanting to buy strikers all the time and not having the foresight, I don't buy it. It's poor.
And while we're on this, JJ, look, quick shout out. Even Man U get a win today with Ronaldo and Maguire in the starting lineup. So if they can do it, Liverpool should be able to do it.
But I think that you can't just play the same way and hope that if it's going to change and suddenly going to work, because it isn't working. Everyone's found out how they play.
Well, the thing with this is, though, so I agree in the sense that you can't be doing the same thing. And Klopp, we spoke about this last season when we said in terms of strategy and tactics between Pep and Klopp, and people always talk about how you see Pep, tinkering and trying to change stuff, and Klopp seems to rely mainly on his system and personnel. So if we're sticking to that conversation, so what we're saying here is, based on the fact that he doesn't want to change his style of play, he needs to buy new players. Is that what you guys are saying? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Ender? He needs to have bought more.
If he wants to continue to play an attractive style of football with fullbacks that don't defend as well as potentially other fullbacks in the league do, then yes, he has to buy the best players that he can get for the positions that he wants. Pep will always buy the best player he can get for that position. All right, maybe they don't spend as much money, but they spend a lot of money on a striker, okay, in order to change, who basically replaced a player that was playing very well for them last season in Jota. So it wasn't like that one was potentially needed. They needed to replace Mane, really. Firmino barely gets talked about, and that player is absolutely superb. And if you go, oh yeah, have they got a better midfield than other teams in the Prem? Potentially they do have a better midfield than other teams in the Prem, but you know what? Those other teams are more pragmatic about how they approach their football games and how they go, you know what do? We don't want to concede goals. That's the first thing that we do. How do we firm that up? How do we change that losing mentality and to get a fight out of it? We talk about Arsenal winning dirty or Arsenal trying to grind out a result. When was the last time we ever spoke about Liverpool trying to grind out a result? We talk about Conte, they're not winning attractively, but they're trying to grind out a result, right? Sometimes they get spanked, and everyone does occasionally, but they're not. You never hear Liverpool grinding out a result or going, oh, we just got that game. There's a moan after about injuries. There's a moan about fixtures. Like they're the only club in the league that has that many fixtures. And you're like, oh, we're only allowed this many players. We're only allowed that. And you're like, yeah, everyone else is in the same. Everyone's in the same boat.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we let Mr. Hinder go on and on, because trust me, he can. Dunk, do you think with 2 games left, do you think will the World Cup be good for Liverpool or bad in terms of will some players get some rest or will some players play too much? Do you think it will help him kickstart that bit of consistency that they need?
Well, the way their season's gone so far, it'd be hard to see it being bad for Liverpool. Like they'd have to come back and like be losing every game. So I'd say, yeah, it definitely. I'd say it would be a good thing for Liverpool to reset. Maybe, I think clubs that so obviously some of their players will be gone to the World Cup, and most clubs will be running like training camps or going somewhere. So it's going to give Klopp a chance to work a few things out. But yeah, I do agree with Neil quite a lot. He's got to take some responsibility and work out how that team's going to play, and he has to make some changes with what he's got this season.
And the form Liverpool are in, they're not taking. None of those are going to the World Cup. Let me know. No, you know what? You could just carry on. Enjoy your.
Although if they're English, like Joe Gomez, he's got a shout with Southgate picking it.
Martins